Hey friends, so today's trait is organization. And what we're going to be doing is focusing on adding an introduction and a conclusion and transitions into our writing. We want to make sure that it flows throughout the whole writing piece. So for our writing activity of the day, we are going to be opening up another slideshow for our directions. So when you're in your classroom, go under organization prompt number 2. And in the documents, you will see this organization activity. When you open that up, it takes you right through the steps. Number 1, it says copy the story starter below in your notebook. 2, add a middle and end to the story starter. And 3, try to use 5 of the transition phrases in your response. So below is your story starter. We're going to add that. And then on the side, you'll see these transition words. So I'm going to also try to be thinking of those as I'm writing. So now that I know my task, I'm going to go to my notebook and I'm going to write out the beginning story starter and then add the middle and the end. So the story starter says, my friend took this picture of his family at their new house. He says it was just them there, but that's not what it looked like. Dun, dun, dun. So that gives me a lot to work with what I want to do with the middle and the end. Some things I wrote off to the side. The beginning should always introduce the characters and the hook and the setting. And that prompt does all 3 of those things. In the middle, I want to focus on the rising action, developing the problem, who's in that picture, and then the climax. The end of the story should have the resolution, a conclusion of some sort, maybe reveals a moment, a revealing moment, or it ends with a cliffhanger. All right, so I'm going to go and I'm going to write my middle and end, making sure to come back to this word bank for transition words, and I'm going to check back in with you when I'm done. Whew, okay, I finished up my middle and ending to the story. And I also kept in mind that I needed to use those transition words. And I actually had to go back and add some because I realized I hadn't used 5 transition phrases. So here it goes. All right, so we've got my finished product. I'm going to read you what I have. My friend took this picture of his family at their new house. He says it was just them there, but that's not what it looked like. In fact, I wasn't even sure if my eyes were playing tricks on me. I was hesitant to point out the shriveled fingers reaching from the old curtains behind his smiling family. Suddenly, a chilling feeling ran down my back as I realized what had happened at his new house a few years before. The police lights filled the streets as we heard murmurs of the neighbors' speculations as to what had happened. Afterward, her body was found in the basement with her husband and suspected killer nowhere to be found. As a result of my discovering the picture and what I found in the picture, we stood there in silence. Next, I noticed an envelope sitting on the front mat of his house. I tore it open to find a note that read, "Take caution, he will be back." On the back of the picture was the old woman and her husband, and an address scribbled in the corner. So it did take me a little bit of crossing out and coming back. And you can see I even put in purple there all of my transition words, just so I know I used all 5. So what did you come up with? Let us know if you have any questions. So I forgot to mention that we also want you to give yourself a score out of 5 on this writing activity. Now, the task was about organization. How well were you able to add an introduction? That was there for you. A conclusion, and then the transitions throughout. So if I'm thinking back to my writing piece, I have to think, how well did I come to an end of the story, and how well did I add those transition words? I would say I successfully used 5 transition words, so that's good. And then my conclusion was pretty well thought out. So I'm going to give myself a 4 out of 5 on this writing piece. Do the same for yourself to see how well you did with organization. All right, thanks.